Welcome back to the co-sponsorship show here at eXp Realty, where I interview top organizational leaders, team leaders, and different people from around the world to bring you guys insights and strategies, not only like with real estate, but also culture, community, all the things. And that way you can build your business to double your production, triple, quadruple, whatever your goals are. We would love to help you do it. Today, I'm super excited to have Elizabeth Riley in from Austin, Texas. She's a 10-year agent here at eXp Realty, agent number 466, 10-time iCON agent. We'll talk about that. Also a producer, which is really exciting. So thank you for jumping on today. I'm really excited to have this conversation.
Thanks for having me. This will be fun.
Yeah, exactly. And you're actually, the reason I was really excited to have you on today was really because you've seen eXp go from, like I said, agent 466, right?
Yes.
To 90,000 agents. So you've seen the evolution of everything. And I would just love to have a conversation about that. And, the one thing that really stood out for me in your information that you submitted to me is that you're big into culture, but also production. So the one thing that I've really noticed, especially at eXp, when you talk to top attractors, is a lot of them are out of production because they've built big organizations. So, like, why is it important to you having an organization size of over 10,000? Obviously, you don't need to still sell real estate. Why is it so important to you to stay into production?
Well, to me, it's simple. We're a real estate company, right? And if
Yeah,
there's
bing,
no
bing.
revenue coming into the company, there's no revenue to share. And I truly think this is the best platform that's been built, and it's so much fun. And I was in the business 10 years at another company before. So I've been total 20 years, and the last 10 years have been so much fun. It doesn't feel like it's 10 years, where before I was a top producer. Actually, I was number one, and I was on a hamster wheel. I wanted to quit. I actually was going to quit real estate. And this company brought back my joy again, brought back the passion. And when you're building something together, and we all own this company. So when you're building something you own, you just treat it differently. And it's been just amazing to see. And I'm a real estate agent, and I don't know what else I would do if I retired. Or I get that question, why don't you just retire? Well, what would I do? I don't think I'm old enough to retire. And this is such a cool industry. And as an entrepreneur, and meeting clients and meeting people and building a business that's worth owning on your own, that we're just a platform. eXp is just the platform. And so I love that freedom. And I will sell and serve my clients as long as my business supports it.
Yep, exactly. No, I love that answer. And then, like, so obviously you said you were a top agent, number one agent at Keller Williams before eXp Realty. And what was the thing that you were coming to your wits' end with at the previous brokerage that even got you to look? Because you said you were about ready to quit real estate.
Yeah.
Like, that's a kind of a big wheel to unwind if you're at that point of your journey of real estate. Because I know, like, anytime you're doing something, you're like, I'm done. You're one foot out the door. Like, something had to have brought you back to say, like, okay, I'm jumping back into this thing. So what was it?
It takes a lot to get me to that point where I'm just done, right? And when I got in the business, and everybody gets into the business for different reasons. And my reason was my husband and I were investors, and I was licensed in Georgia first. And it was more of a hobby when I was in Georgia. And then when we were transferred to Texas in 2008, I stayed with Keller Williams. So grateful for my 10 years at Keller Williams, right? This is, everybody has to start somewhere, and they really gave me the foundational building blocks. At the time, it's just a very different company. And when I built my business here in Texas, I mean, I moved to, a lot of people talk about moving to different cities or states that they didn't know anybody. I've done that. I've built my business twice, right? So I can completely relate. In 2008, everybody was like, oh my gosh, you're getting into real estate here. Are you crazy? The market's crashed. And for me, I saw opportunity because Atlanta was worse than Austin. Austin was a better market. So I just think it's about perspective. And if you have a positive perspective in whatever you're doing, your path is going to show itself. And so I had to meet people in Austin anyway, for my family and for myself, and I had to build my business. And so I did do that. And in 2014, I was number one out of our market center, and we had 650 agents.
Oh,
And
wow.
here was the turning point, because from the outside, everybody was like, oh my gosh, she's on top of the world, and she's got it all down. And people follow people. So I had a number of people that had joined me at KW. But what happened is my team leader at the time, at the awards dinner or awards ceremony, said to me, oh my gosh, let's meet next week. Let's figure out how to double your numbers like next year. And I looked at her and I was like, I'm not going to do that. I have four children. I
Mm.
had, at the time, my husband traveled internationally all the time. And so I was trying to manage my family and I was trying to manage my business. And you know that when you have all these balls in the air, I had all these balls in the air and I was trying to catch the glass ones.
Mm,
And so even though on the outside it looked like, oh, you're number one, look at your business, behind the scenes, my family was fractured. My business was fractured. And I came home that day and my husband said, oh my gosh, we're going to go to dinner and we're going to celebrate. And I truly told him, I'm actually getting out of the business. And he said, what are you talking about? He goes, go start your own brokerage. No, thank you. Not I'm trying to find freedom, not anchoring, myself down even more now doing a whole bunch of things I don't want to do that I'm not great at doing, right? I didn't
yep.
want to do the counting and all the things. I knew what I was good at and I wanted to stay in that lane. And he said, well, go to another brokerage. I said, they're all lateral moves.
Yep.
I happen to be at a capping company. Most of them aren't capping. None of them had equity. None of them had anything to show for that transaction that I just closed. And now I'm fired after every deal and I have to go get another transaction. I had 10 baseball caps that said capper. Those don't pay your mortgage,
Yep.
right? And so my husband said, well, what else can you do? Well, that's when my relationships in Georgia came to the forefront. And they said, hey, Elizabeth, we've all gone to this company. We could work together again. You're licensed in two states. At the time, I was in two states and it was very expensive to
Hmm.
carry both states. And they said, we could all work together again. I was like, how is that possible? They said, would you meet with somebody? And I say people follow people all the time because I had those relationships. And when you build a relationship in whatever you do, you're going to build the business, right? Everything's going to come and fall into line. So those relationships I had, I didn't even ask who they wanted me to meet with because
Hmm.
it didn't matter. They weren't going to waste my time. They wanted to put me in touch with somebody that was going to change, whatever my life looked like at the point. They said, would you meet with somebody? And I said, sure. So Glenn Sanford came to meet with me. Now, people always talk about, they're like, Glenn Sanford, the founder of eXp. And I'm like, but my market center had 650 agents. His whole company had 400 agents. So it was a different conversation. But
Yep.
Glenn and Debbie came, they sat with me, we talked, and here was what it was. Glenn talked about being an agent. He was an agent first. He knew what it was like to be in my shoes. He knew what it was like to try and build something for yourself, but you're really building somebody else's dream
Hmm.
under this false pretense that you're finding time freedom and financial freedom. I wasn't. Maybe the franchise owners were, but you still had all this responsibility and debt and all these other things tied to that. And it's like there's got to be a better way. And so Glenn came up with a better way, a different way. For me, it was kind of refreshing and I was excited to do something different and build something together with some people because I was on top of the mountain, but it's really lonely at the top.
Hmm.
It's so much more fun when you're lifting others as you climb and you're all building something together. And so that's when my passion was reignited. My spark was there again. And that first full year at eXp, I was 466, but by the first year there were 2,000 agents nationally and I was number one. And the second year there were 5,000 agents and I was number one. And I had to step back and say, what's different? I'm still the same person. I'm still showing up for my clients, serving my clients, doing what I need to be doing, building the business that fits me. But my environment changed. And so now I had time freedom and financial freedom in a different way. And that's what got me excited. And 10 years later, I have the gift of hindsight, but I'm having more fun now than I ever did before. And now, because of this company, because of the decisions I've made, it gives me more choices in life, right? And what I'm going to do for my family is probably different than what you'll do for yours, but having choices is nice.
Yep.
And I can build the business I want to build, and I can pick and choose the clients I want to work with because not all business is good business. I can pick and choose the people I want to partner with. So I love what he's built, and it's been a lot of fun to be a part of it. And it's been a wild ride for sure. Before, we were putting tracks in front of the train as fast as we could go, and now we have something that is proven, that is solid, that is trying to be duplicated by others that can't be. You can't duplicate our people. You can't duplicate our vision. And when you have an entrepreneurial at the heart of it all, and now our CEO, who is a true entrepreneur, and all of our leadership are all people that have been in our shoes, like you can't fail, and it's fun to be a part of.
Yep. How long from the time you had that meeting with Glenn until you made the move? Like, what was that timeline like, and what was that whole transition like? Since you have
I'm
a big team, obviously.
Yeah, I met with Glenn in October of 2014, and I remember it like yesterday, right? There's things in your life that you just remember clear as day.
Hmm.
And it was so funny because he wanted to meet at a Regis. So we met downtown Austin at a Regis, and he took me into the Avatar world. Now, again, this is 10 years ago, and I was like, I don't get this. He took me into a board meeting. So I met Jason Guessing, and I met all the different board members from around the country, and I was like, I don't understand this. But you don't, that was just a tool, right? And
Hmm.
so I started talking to them. I was like, huh, this is interesting. Now, again, I came for the iCON award, by the way. I came because, wait, I'm a top producer and you're going to give me stock for doing production and I can get an iCON award. I'm interested in that. So that's why I came. Everybody comes for a different reason.
Yep.
But then I also know people follow people, and a lot of people were going to follow me wherever I went. And I have the luxury, and my husband had an amazing job with benefits and things like that. I can take more risks than sometimes other people can, and I didn't want to be responsible for people taking risks that they shouldn't be taking just because they trusted me. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Yeah, so I seek wise counsel. And so I went to my team leader in Georgia and I went to my team leader in Texas. My team leader in Texas had retired, so I knew that he was safe and I trusted him. And I had built a relationship for many years as one of his top producers. My team leader from Georgia told me I was crazy. He's like, "You've built this. Look at what you've done. Don't do this." I said, "Okay, thank you. I want to take everybody's
Hmm.
information and I want to noodle on it. I want to marinate in it. But my team leader here, we would meet in the back of a coffee shop and he's like, this is interesting. Okay. And for 5 months we talked about it and he poked holes and he told me the questions to ask. Never did I ever try to recruit him and bring him to the company. But 5 months later, he said, you know what? I'm bored. I'm uninspired too. This could be fun. I'm going to come out of retirement. Let's build this together. And that was Gene Frederick.
Oh, wow.
So Gene and I had to kind of build up to this because Gene had a whole lot more at risk than I did. He had 7 market centers and he had just a whole lot that he had to unravel. So we officially came on in May of 2015, end of April, but our anniversary date is May 1st of 2015. So from October to May when we were officially on board.
Gotcha. Yeah, it's interesting that you said that. I actually something that you said that was really important that I think people need to understand is that like you're still the same person, right? Like you're no matter what brokerage you're at, you're still the same Elizabeth Riley. And a lot of agents get hung up on this like the brokerage is the brand. And so when you saw that and you're like, okay, now it's time to make the move inside of eXp, like what was that first year like? Like, did you guys see agents following you? You said you're a people person, but like more importantly, like what happened with your guys' real estate business production? And and if you can shed some light on that, that'd be great.
Yeah, my business took off. I mean, again, people don't care what company you're with.
Hmm.
I think that's a really big misconception. People think I have to be here because of the brand. And for me, I mean, I was always Elizabeth Riley at KW, right? And I couldn't brand myself. At eXp, I took the opportunity because I wanted to jump into luxury a little bit more.
Mm.
And so I branded myself Lux Property Group. So most of my clients, they all thought I just started my own brokerage. They didn't care. They knew who I was and I was going to over deliver. Um, and so my business really took off because now I was collaborating with people from all over the country. I remember wanting to get more into the luxury side and talking to Chuck and Doug out of California that they were doing luxury in Hollywood Hills and Beverly Hills and that's a very different market than Austin now. And they opened up their playbook and I was like, this is interesting. Why are they doing this? And it
Hmm.
was number one, they're not competition. They're California, I'm Texas. Number two, most people don't do what you tell them to do anyway.
Yeah.
Number three, if they win, I win, we all win because we're all at this company together. And so when I started truly leaning into the collaboration around the country, and that was only 400 or 500 agents,
Yep.
my business started changing because of the things and the outsource and the outside influence that I was implementing into my business here that was different than what our market was seeing. And so, like I said, I don't know what my production numbers were because at that time I wasn't really following my production numbers. But I went to number one out of 2,000 agents and I was having fun doing it. So it changed quite a bit. Now I'm usually a 25, $30 million producer. But I give a lot of business away. I pick and choose what I want to deal with because that's kind of manageable for me. I definitely didn't do any of that in my old company, and I was dying on the vine.
Yeah, no, I hear that. I hear that all the time. And I also think it's very interesting that you had somebody saying like, you're crazy. Like, I don't know what you're thinking. Because almost every agent that I interview on the show has the one person that's like, you're crazy, you're crazy, you're crazy. Like, I want to know one, did that person ever make the move over with you?
Actually, he did. 7.5 years later, he watched me because we were friends, and he's still to this day one of my biggest business mentors. He
Mm,
watched me for 7.5 years. He had been huge at Remax. He had been a team leader at KW for over 20 years. And he's like, "What are you doing?" So one day he called me, "Riley, I'm ready to talk." And I was like, "Talk about what?" And he was like, I want to know what you're doing at eXp, 7.5 years. And he's having the time of his life. He's been here for over 2 years now.
yep. Yeah, I think it's a lot of people. I mean, you've seen it, 10,000 agents. I mean, you know the drill, but a lot of people, even yourself, it took you to get to like a certain point of pain. So like if you could take yourself back, like say 12 years, 2 years up until that move, like what would
Yeah.
you have told yourself 2 years heading into that moment? What advice would you give yourself? Because everyone listening is probably either A, they're in a comfortable position,
Yeah.
or B, they're at the end of their rope where they're just ready to throw in the towel and they're just looking for a lifeline.
Yeah, that's a good question. I actually probably would have looked up more. I was so driven and focused on what I was doing and just staying in my lane and what I needed for my family. Because again, my four kids were little, so I was barely keeping my head above water. And I thought I was unique in those feelings. I thought I was the only one that was like paddling as fast as I could. And the reality is we're so good at making everything look perfect. I mean, our headshots always have to look perfect. And now social media and all these other things that behind the scenes what's really going on. And when you're vulnerable and when you're open and when you're coachable, that's where I think the magic happens. And when you seek wise counsel and you just stay curious.
Yeah,
I think I would have told myself to be more curious, and com being comfortable is the opposite of growth, right? It's super uncomfortable to be uncomfortable, but that's where you get to where the next stage is. You get complacent, you get bored, you get stagnant when you're comfortable. And so I would have made myself get uncomfortable a lot quicker or a lot
yeah.
sooner.
Yeah, I think you keep mentioning that you seek wise counsel, and I think that's really important, especially in today's day and age. There's so much noise on the internet and social media. And, actually somebody messaged me yesterday and they're like, my sister told me the market's going to crash and his sister's in real estate. And I just said, and all of these things, the world's doom and gloom. And I just said, does your sister have the life that you want? Is she doing the things that you want to do? I was like, if not, you should go and talk to people that you want to have a life like and hear what they have to say about the markets, what they're doing to come like generate more sales or produce more volume or make more money. And so I like the fact that you keep referring back to seeking wise counsel. Like, what are the type of people in that wise counsel group that are you looking for?
So I call them my board of directors,
Uh,
right? I mean, and it doesn't have to be somebody in real estate. It can
mhm,
be anybody. It can be younger, older, men, women. It doesn't matter. Who are the people that are going to hold you accountable and seek truth and speak truth into you? Like we're all surrounded by yes men. We're all surrounded by people pleasers. But who are the people that are really going to hold you to your truth? And it doesn't, for me, it's not a big group.
mhm,
But I know when I go to those people, they're going to look at things from an outside perspective because sometimes I'm too close to it or I'm too involved that I'm not really looking at every aspect. And so, yeah, I've got that small group. They're precious to me, and I know that they're going to answer the call when I call, and they're going to shoot me straight. They don't have to sugarcoat anything, and I try to be that for others as well.
yeah. No, I love that. So when we first jumped on the call, you were talking that you were just coming out of a mastermind. So what are some of the tools and like quote unquote secret sauce are you supplying the agents at eXp? Because I said, oh, is this for your group, your team, or your organization? You're like, nothing, it's just eXp. So I operate on that same premise, like everyone can come and learn. So why
Yeah.
don't you talk to us a little bit about that type of support that you're lending to other agents in your marketplace?
Community is huge for me. And I feel like nobody succeeds alone, and we all have different ways to plug in and connect. I don't. A lot of people I know they talk about their different organizations and things like that. I've been very blessed. Have a very healthy, strong organization, and I love on my people. And if I love on my people, then they love on their people, and then it just cascades down. But I really truly believe when you're at eXp, we all win. We all own this company together. You and I are not in the same org, but man, I want to see you win. And I'm like applauding the fact that you have six icons and all the things you and Jackson are doing on YouTube. It's like, oh my gosh, I want to learn from you. And what's cool about that is because we all are rowing in the same direction. We all own this company, so we're going to treat it a little bit differently than somebody who's renting their career at another brokerage.
Hmm.
So community was, especially with COVID, everybody wants to feel connected. They want to be seen, valued, and heard. And how do you do that? And so the mastermind I just came off of, it kind of evolved. We had the top producers in our market center, not our market center, but our market that we would collaborate on a monthly basis, and we would do it in person. And then some of the other newer agents were like, "Oh, we want to learn from you." And we're like, "Well, we're collaborating differently." And then we thought, "Oh my gosh, well, we were new once. How can we build everybody else up and they can learn from us?" So now we do it every single week. If you think about a team meeting in a brokerage, in an office, there's usually nobody in there, right? And the people that are in there aren't really doing anything.
Yeah.
So we didn't want that environment where you're just checking a box and going, okay, I got to go to this team meeting and it's not really valuable, but I have to show up. So we do this every single Tuesday at 10 a.m. in Austin. We all get on Zoom, we all mastermind. We're talking about all sorts of challenges that we're experiencing in the market. We're coming up with solutions because we all need solutions as well. And it's a true, nobody misses this meeting now. And it's super fun because it's one that we look forward to. So that's when we do. I've got 3 masterminds a week. I'm running or I'm
Mm.
involved in running. We have coaching calls we do every single morning for 30 minutes, scripts and dialogues and overcoming objections for those people. We've got in person, we do happy hours once a month. We do events all the time here because bringing people together, I think that's community. And it doesn't even have to be real estate related. I do gratitude lunches. We do AHA clubs once a month, agents helping agents, where it's all production focused. It's not a recruiting. I don't even say I'm with eXp
Hmm.
because I don't care who comes in that room. If you're in that room, you're in there for a reason. If there's
Yeah.
only 5 people in that room, those are the 5 people that need to be in that room. But that AHA Club is at the Austin Board of Realtors now every single month. That even ABOR puts it on their calendar because they know how impactful that education is that we're providing. Because we've got some of the smartest people at this company, right? I mean, I had a short-term rental panel. I had 3 of them from different parts of the state, and I was blown away. I mean, it was incredible, these businesses they were building, and the room was packed. We had, what, 150 people in there?
Oh, wow.
So it tells me that people are hungry for community. They're hungry for education. They're hungry for collaboration. And the reality to me is collaboration is the currency. We collaborate over here. We don't compete.
Yep. I think a lot of people use that as like a tactic to recruit, right? They're like, oh, we have the best culture. And we were talking about this offline. So like when you say we all win together, and that's kind of that can mean a lot of different things to a lot of different people. So
Mhm.
like let's unpack that a little bit and talk about like what does that really mean? Like we all win together. Okay, like an agent listening to this right now is at a brokerage. They're probably just either they have a cap or a non-cap, but they've heard their broker say this to them too. We are all winning together when you're winning. But then they're like, well, I'm giving you 20% of my check every single time I close a deal, but I'm literally getting nothing in return. So in
Right.
their mind, and that's the same thing, like you said, it happened. It happened to me. I didn't come to EXP for anything except for the fact that I had 3 licenses and I
Yeah.
could have 1 cap. That was my biggest draw. So when I
Yeah.
got the stock and the revenue share, I was like freaking out. Like, what is this? And then it shifted my focus. So like, what does that mean that we all win together, and how does that really happen in your opinion?
I think everybody has goals and reasons why they got into this business. Even if it gives you one more hour with your kids or one more hour with your family or one more transaction that helps you get to a goal that you're trying to achieve, or rev share. I mean, I had an agent yesterday send me a note. He goes, "Do you know what this is?" And he sent me a screenshot and I
That was
said,
me. That was me back in the day.
"Was that you?"
Oh yeah, I was
Well,
like, what is this 750 on the first check I ever got? $750 on one closing.
yeah,
One agent that I brought that wasn't in my on my team, I was like, what is this? I'm like, is there a mistake? And they were like,
yeah,
that's your revenue share. And I'm like, but that agent's not even on my team. They're like, no, the company gives it back to you. And I'm
right.
like, I remember calling Jackson. I'm like, dude, this thing revenue share, we need to focus on it.
Yeah, because I mean, it's a real thing and you don't realize it until Like, and again, I didn't come for rev share. I actually told Glenn I wasn't interested in rev share. Right. So, but I mean, I got a call from, or I got a text yesterday and he sent me this screenshot. He's in California. He goes, "What is this?" He goes, "Nobody seems to know what this is." And I said, "That's rev share." And I said, and he goes, "Wait, how is that possible?" Well, I co-sponsored somebody with him and he didn't realize it.
Mm,
And I said, "That is because they're in production." And he was like, "Wait a minute, you don't understand." And he got on a Zoom with me and he was teary-eyed. He goes, "You don't have you have no idea how this just changed the situation that I was in and how needed it was." And I don't know what the situation is and I don't need to know, but I
hmm
saw him visibly moved and visibly changed. And he's like, "This," and it had to do with his kids.
hmm
Like, that's when we win. It's
Yep.
not about how many more dollars can you put in your broker's pocket.
Yep.
It's, I have freedom in such a way. I retired my husband from corporate America 5 years ago because of this company. And I didn't do that because of a flex. I did that because my husband didn't have a relationship with my kids. He was gone all the time. He didn't know them and he was missing it.
Yeah.
Right. So the, that's where we all win. What are your goals? Everybody has different goals, but how can we help you get there together instead of paying for a copy machine or paying your brokers? You know, the brokers were driving brand new cars and we're all like, "Wait, we're doing the production and I'm working around the clock and I'm not even getting to put my kids to bed. I'm not, you know what I mean? Like, that's not why you were doing this." And I read this book called Die with Zero. Have you ever read it?
Oh yeah.
Whew. I mean, it is powerful, right? That changed my world. And I was like, "Oh my gosh, we're doing all these things for our families right now." We're, I would tell my kids this. Mom has to work. I have to be on these calls. I have to do these things because I'm doing this for you. And they're like, "We just want you. We want your
Mhm.
time because you're missing this."
Yeah.
And then now when you have the financial and time freedom, well, A, you don't have the health, or your kids are grown and gone, or you've just missed it. So I'm like, how can we all be present and build massive businesses that are important to each one of us? I mean, I have agents that are like, "I just want to sell one house a year. I want to sell one house a month." Awesome. "I want to sell 5 houses a month. How do I get to 10?" Whatever the goal is, if we're helping that individual agent or that team or that person or whatever the situation is, if we're helping that person meet the goals they have set for themselves and their family, then we're all winning together. And plus,
Exactly.
eXp is publicly traded. So when you're doing a deal in Idaho and I'm doing a deal in Texas and somebody's in Georgia, like, our stock prices change, our community builds and grows. And my AHA clubs, that's a prime example. People come to that and they keep inviting their friends, which is fine because it's like we're all like, if I can be on another side of the transaction with somebody from Coldwell Banker, I mean, agents are going to stay in the business, clients are going to come and go. I'd rather us all be smarter together. But what's happening is those agents from other companies are like, "Wait, our company doesn't operate like this. Why are you guys doing this?" And they're feeling it and they're experiencing it instead of somebody telling them what our culture is. When we show them, it's so much more powerful and then they want to join the company. So ours isn't for recruiting tools, but if we can make everybody's businesses better and their lives better, then we all win. But as a company with eXp, we're all shareholders. We all win together. And it's just, I mean, it's when you love what you do, it's not a job anymore.
Exactly. No, I think that's a great answer. And it's, like I said, it's very hard for people to grasp that. But the thing is even like with the AHA Club, and you're opening the doors to every other agent to come in to do that. If you were not in the position that you are, and you were just like a solo agent trying to grind it out, like you wouldn't have the freedom and the time to be hosting these things. So
Right.
it's actually your like power of multiplication now has been, you know, sustained because and it's like on an upward trajectory because of the opportunity here. So what is the day and time of your AHA clubs?
We do them September through May because during the summers, everybody's gone with their families, which is what they should be doing. Um, we do them September through May in Austin. We're Wednesdays from 11 to 1, the second Wednesdays of every month, 11 to 1. What's interesting about that is it was just an idea to bring people together. And now AHA clubs are popping up all over the country. And
Mm-hmm.
it's amazing. And it tells me, oh, we weren't the only market that had a need. And bringing people together, you can't fail. So AHA clubs pop up everywhere. They're bringing in different agents, different people to speak at them all the time. I've had Jackson, because Jackson's only a couple hours from me, and Jackson has come up and talked on YouTube for us. And why did he do that?
Yeah.
Right? I mean, it didn't directly benefit him. Now it can.
Yep.
But it's so cool that everybody's willing to help each other because of again, rowing in the same direction.
That was actually like the reason that I started this show was because when I first came to EXP and I figured out the revenue share that first check, I was like, what's the fastest way of growth? And I'm like, I should just like talk to top organizational leaders and like ones that own brokerages, big teams, and then tell their story. So
Yeah.
I was using them as leverage to build my following, and that like helped me out a lot. But I'm like, okay, now I can go back and redo it, and now I can actually like there is financial gain, but besides that, everyone did it without any financial gain in mind because they're like,
Yeah.
and I that was like the biggest eye-opening experience actually is like when I went through the call. So for when I came to EXP, it was Sam Rodriguez at that time, and he
Okay.
wasn't he was the guy that introduced me to EXP, one of them, and I got on that call for like 2.5 hours. And I was like so blown away because they at that time I'd interviewed multiple brokerages because my YouTube business was exploding, and I'd had agents around the country or reaching out saying, "Hey, I want to work with you." Well, the franchise I was at, which was Next Home, and James Dwiggins does a lot of
Um,
stuff with Leo,
yeah.
obviously. It's like they're like, oh, if you want to work with an agent in Austin, you got to own the brokerage here, the brokerage there. You either have to be the managing broker or hire one. I'm like, it's going to cost me hundreds of thousands of dollars just to partner with an agent.
Yeah.
So when I was out there, like, we need to be in alignment with someone speaking one language, one training platform, because this will help us expand and grow. And when I'd gone through all of these brokerages, Remax, Keller Williams, I'd started at KW, I went back to them, the expansion model, and nobody had the solution to my problem. And so when I finally like Googled I need one owner brokerage, who are they? And like EXP was at the top of that list. I was like, all right, I'm finally willing to take the look because I'd been harped on by agents all the time, like saying, let's go to lunch. And they'd be like, pull out this EXP catalog. And I'd be like, I don't want to talk about it because they weren't asking me like they weren't helping me solve an emotional problem, you know?
They were EXPing on you.
Oh, that's the worst. And it happened a lot too because
Yeah, I
EXP
know.
just started in our marketplace. I was one of the first agents in the state to come over. And so when I had that call with EXP, they literally just sat down. The same, probably it was the same thing like with Glenn. Like he walked me into the EXP world. They showed me the CRM, Skyslope, and I was like, no other brokerage showed me their CRM, which was crazy. They would like it was like they were leaving everything behind the scenes. I thought they might not even have had it, and it was so weird to me that he spent that time. He showed me everything, and then I got on the call to Curtis Johnson, and then he was like the same thing. He's like, "Oh yeah, if you want to grow your business, I can help you grow your business fast." And it was funny because then I talked to Chuck Fazio, and then when I got to EXP, literally my business went from 10 million to 50 million, and
Yeah.
then to 100 million. And it wasn't that I did anything different. I was the same person, like you said. I'm still the same person.
Yeah.
It was just a different way of doing it. So with that in mind, like when an agent comes into your organization now, like what should they expect?
Yeah, well, and kind of what you were just saying, it's funny because one thing I always tell people, don't EXP on people. Nobody cares. I don't even talk about EXP. But you when you're talking to people, they're looking for a solution for some reason, and you need to figure out what the pebble in their shoe is.
Yep.
And I have a business partner. He is like he is like family to me. Let's put it that way. He'll say I'm his he's like my brother from another mother, right? He had an independent brokerage in College Station, Texas, which is where Texas A&M is, small market, but he had built this great brokerage with 30 agents. They did about $1.8 billion in, 8 years. And in a college market, that's really hard to do. He and I had been friends. He was always my referral partner, right? And back and forth from College Station in Texas and things like that. And there were a couple times I'm like, oh my gosh, it'd be really cool. And he's one of the most famous wide receivers there. He played for the Green Bay Packers and stuff. So it was like, it'd be fun for us to be wearing the same jersey. And
Mm-hmm.
he's like, yeah, 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 I'm not interested. Everybody, same thing. Everybody's blowing up his phone and stuff. I'm like, and he goes, Elizabeth, I don't want to talk about EXP. I was like, my friendship's more important to you than EXP. If there's ever an opportunity for us, this would be really cool to work together, right? Because I don't approach from a recruiting standpoint.
Yep.
Here's what happened though. I was watching him and he was trying to expand exactly what you're talking about, and he couldn't figure it out. He was having masterminds with Gary Keller directly, Robert Refkin, all these people, and he could not figure out, nobody could had the solution.
Yep.
And I saw what he was trying to do, and I called him. I go, buddy, I've got your solution. He goes, there's no way. Nobody else does. I said, we're not like other people. I said, are you willing to listen? He goes, okay, I'll listen. And then all of a sudden we laid out this game plan for what he was trying to accomplish,
Yep.
right? And he came on, and now his 30 agent brokerage, he's got like 550. He's got a big team in Dubai. He's like, Elizabeth, I've never even been out of the country. And I said, well, that's the power of eXp. So, it's the same thing when you're talking to people, it's figuring out what the pebble in their shoe is. They don't care why you came. They don't care why I came. They want to know how this company is going to solve their pebble and give them the freedom that they're looking for. So for my organization, again, I treat everybody the same. Like we have huddles on every week. We've got masterminds all the time. We've got in-person things because I really truly believe in being relational, and you build the relationship, the business is going to come. We all share, like if you're in my Austin market, I've got agents all over the globe. If you're in my Austin market, you're going to be like pulled into everything we're doing from a physical standpoint, like with all the meetings and all the events, you're going to be invited to everything because I want to always give the opportunities. It's whether or not you choose to join. Because if people plug in and show up, they're not going to fail.
Yep.
Right. And this market is challenging across the board. And I've been in challenging markets, and every different challenge is a different challenge, if that makes sense, right? This is a very different market than 2008. But what I'm seeing to a lot of agents is they've only been in the business since like COVID, and they haven't been in a challenging, shifting market like this. And so we all just lock arms and help them navigate through it. And we're co-listing things. We're sharing, open house opportunities. We're sharing business strategies to get them in production. Because again, if there's no revenue share. We're all real estate agents, and there's a reason we're number one in transaction count in the US. We do a lot of business, and there's a reason why, because we're surrounded by some very smart people.
Yep. What's a strategy that's working right now for real estate sales production that most agents aren't using since we are in the shifting market?
So I'm going to say this, and it's funny because I've never done one in my life. In our market, open houses. I've never done an open house in my 20 years. That just doesn't work for me. And so if that doesn't work for me, then I've got to figure out other things that work. But I've got a lot of agents that love doing the open houses, and we all are listing agents. And there's a lot of listings in our market, right? We have 17,000 listings in our market, which is the highest since 1994. So it's definitely shifted, and we've got to create different strategies from the seller side. But a lot of the agents are picking up. I just closed a 1.2 million with one of our agents last week because he held my listing open. He
Hmm.
brought the buyer. So buyers are actually coming in and taking a whole lot more time and being very picky in particular. But there's a lot of them that are just coming into open houses, and these agents are picking those buyers up as clients, which is amazing. With me on sellers, one of the things I just did, I had a really cool condo downtown, but the condo market is super beat up,
Yep.
right? It was a $2.5 million condo. Uh, we found somebody that had some interest, but they went quiet for weeks and weeks and weeks. And so I went to my sellers and I said, "Do you trust me?" And they said, "Yes, we hired you. We trust you." And I was like, I've got an idea. Let's see if it works." And so we did a reverse seller mortgage or seller offer, which I haven't done those in, like, you haven't had to do those in years and years and years. And they're like, "What's a reverse seller offer?" And I explained the ins and outs to it. And we did that. It forced the agent to respond. It forced the buyers to respond. We got into a conversation and a dialogue. We got everybody to the same table, and we closed it.
Um,
$2.5 million condo just by being creative, right? So
I'm willing to bet 99% of people listening to this don't know what a reverse offer is. So why don't you explain it to us?
it's the seller submitting an offer to the buyer, right? Essentially, I knew a buyer, there was a buyer that had interest. We kind of understood what they were looking for. We knew what my seller's numbers would look like. And I said, "Look, we know they have some interest. They're not responding. If if I submit an offer, the agent has to provide it to their seller or their buyer. Their buyer is going to respond in some form or fashion." So they did. So we put all the terms together that would be ideal for my seller, understanding it was going to be a negotiation. So just like a buyer submits to a seller, we just did the reverse, and it worked. Now, is it always going to work? No. It worked really well on that one. And it was a very unique situation and a unique buyer and a unique seller, but it was a cash deal closed at 2.5 million. Otherwise, I could be there, like a lot of agents are just sitting there going, "Okay, do. We're putting it on social. We're hoping for the right buyer." I'm not interested in just fishing and waiting. I'm
Yeah.
interested in being proactive. I also won that deal because of our luxury division, right? I'm going up against luxury listings, against Compass, Keller Williams, Sotheby's, all the quote unquote luxury brands. And our luxury division has so many tools and resources at my fingertips. I'm beating out those other agents for the listings. And this was one of them I won from that.
Nice.
So I think when they're hiring you, you have to think outside the box. You have to be strategic. And then we all share that amongst ourselves. We're partnering with our lenders a lot right now with 2-1 buy downs and educating agents. We're having to educate a lot of agents on what that could look like for their buyers. Because
Yeah.
they're like, oh, well, I want $15,000 in closing costs. Okay, do you want 15,000 here? Or what if we did a 2-1 buy down? Look at how much they're going to save. And so a lot of agents we're realizing aren't educated. So we're taking that up amongst ourselves and saying, okay, well, there's a hole, there's a gap in the industry here. Let's educate it on this so we're all smarter together. So when we're up against these situations and we're representing our clients, we're doing it to the best of our ability.
Gotcha. Out of respect, do you have a little bit more time?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I have a couple questions to tack on to like what you just mentioned. Number one is why why do you think the reverse offer worked? And number two, why didn't the seller just reduce the price?
The seller could have reduced the price. And in fact, we had that conversation. They were going to reduce the price, actually lower than what we closed at. We probably would have done that if we didn't have the inkling that this other buyer had some interest, right? Because a lot of the problem we're having too in our market is a lot of showings are happening. There's not a lot of feedback. Somebody told me recently it's because there were lawsuits with feedback. And I was like, oh my gosh, okay, I don't even know about that. But no feedback is what I tell my sellers, right? The feedback is an offer that they like the home and they want to make something work, but you can't go off of no feedback. I happen to have a little bit of feedback from this buyer because they came to us unrepresented first.
Mm,
So I was able to ask the right qualifying questions to get the information that I was looking for that would accurately represent what my goals were for my seller. Does that make sense?
yeah,
So that's the other thing too. You've got to know how to ask the right questions. Stay in curiosity. The person who's asking the questions is the one that's winning. So I asked enough questions. I understood what he was trying to do, but then he didn't have an agent. And then all of a sudden he did have an agent. So once that agent came into play, now I can no longer talk to the buyer and try to negotiate with him. So this is how we force their hand. So
gotcha.
we knew what the number was going to be because we knew what we were going to lower the price to. And so we said, well, let's just go with the ideal and submit the offer and see what happens. And that's what happened. And we netted out higher than what they were anticipating.
Why do you think the buyer's agent didn't just submit an offer? Do you think they weren't having the conversation? The reason I'm asking these questions is because I'm seeing this happen all over the place, where all these agents are just basically showing the houses, and they're like, my client's not interested. There's a lot of people coming to open houses, and they're
Yeah.
they're like shopping around without feeling pressure. They think that's a low pressure. Even when the house I'm sitting in right now, I literally was driving down the street. I saw that there was an open house. It's an area my wife and I wanted to buy in. And I just pulled over. I saw the open house. I walked in. I called my wife. I said, we got to buy this house. And then we weren't actually looking.
Yeah.
So I think that's happening a lot. So why do you not think that that buyer's agent just submitted an offer?
Because the buyer's agent wasn't involved in the conversations at first.
Yeah.
And I don't know what their conversations were as far as if she really knew that they were interested or because they weren't, he, she wasn't involved at all. In fact, I don't know how she got involved. I don't know if she represented them in the past, or I don't know if he happened to make mention to her that, hey, I'm thinking of buying this house. And she's like, oh, let me represent you. I have no idea what that looked like. All I know is I got an email saying, this is so and so, and I'm representing the buyers now. I know that you guys have been talking. So she was putting me on notice, which is
Gotcha.
fine, right? And I'm going to honor and respect that because as agents, I know we work really hard, and I actually don't like working with unrepresented buyers.
Yeah.
There's too much liability. There's too many things that could go wrong. And I even told her because I knew who she was and she knew who I was. I was like, oh my gosh, I'm glad you're involved. This is going to be great. But then they went quiet. And, later on, she was like, well, his business, all the things. And I'm like, no, 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 we're going to force her hand. And so, I mean, was it a risk? Not really. What did we have to lose? I had a lot of explaining to my seller because they didn't understand what we were trying to accomplish. Then once they understood it, they're like, okay, let's try it. And it worked. But again, you just have to be creative in these markets. And there's a lot of buyers out there, but they're in our market, they're looking for deals. And we're not seeing buyers put in low offers. What
Yeah.
we're seeing is buyers waiting till the prices keep chasing themselves down and then they're putting in the offers.
Well, so that's why I was interested in this situation. So we go through a million scenarios, but what was your first move to really get them interested in that
My
presenting
seller,
this? the buy, like when you guys presented the offer to the buyer, like what was it that got them like interested? Like how'd you make it exciting?
Well, so we submitted a formal offer in writing signed by the sellers.
Was it like a price, like a discount off the price?
It was barely. We came down off the price a little bit. Here's what we also did. So the agent, now that I'm thinking this through, so the agent again didn't, or the person didn't have a buyer. So what we were calculating, so if there's no buyer, there's no necessarily concessions being paid to the buyer.
Oh, the buyer's agent?
Correct.
Yeah.
So we took that into account. And then I said we could submit this number. They don't have an agent. We could submit this number and see if we can get the conversation going.
Gotcha.
Well, then the agent told us that she was involved. She didn't say she had a commission request or anything else, but what I told the sellers is any buyer is going to come and ask us for this. Let's be proactive and say, because we had an idea of where his number could have come in as a buyer.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Because we were asking questions and he was giving us information. But we weren't 100% sure. And I said, let's be proactive. We now know there's an agent. They're going to ask. He's not going to want to be out of pocket. Any other buyer is going to ask for that. Let's go ahead and just include that. Because I wanted the agent to realize too, we weren't trying to cut her out or undercut her because we still had to get to the closing table.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So that's what we did. So we had a slight discount on the price. We just proactively assumed she was going to ask for a commission. We included that full, what we would have asked for to match ours, because I want to be fair in the market.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm never going to be one of those agents that's like, oh, Elizabeth's going to undercut people. Don't work with her. I want people to see my offers come across and go, oh my gosh, I cannot wait to work with Elizabeth.
Exactly.
I've worked with her before. Like, that's the reputation I want.
Yep.
Right. So we went ahead and we just made it super clean, super easy. We negotiated a few things that were minor, not the price. They didn't negotiate the price. They negotiated a closing date. We agreed to a long closing. It did have to do with one of his companies selling. And so we accommodated the closing date to do that. And we got to the closing table because of that. I don't know if there was one thing, but nobody else was doing that.
Yep.
And we got the conversation back in motion. It was fun.
Gotcha.
Yeah, it's one
I,
I'm proud of too. And it was funny because eXp Luxury, we had the marketing and it all went out on socials after that. I was like, oh yeah, I forgot that we got it under contract because the condo market is beat up so much that it should have sat on the market longer.
yeah. Yeah, I think the Portland and Austin markets are, because I still have my team out there. I think they're very similar markets. And yeah, if you ever want me to come in and give you guys some coaching on one of your meetings, I'd have to do it via Zoom on open
I'd love it.
houses. So my first 2 years in real estate, I did 52 transactions, but it was 50% open house and 50% for sell by owner. So I have like a really good open house strategy that works. And it's not like put out 5 million signs, none of that stuff.
Yeah.
I wouldn't do anything except for like bring my pen and paper. That's all I needed and just listen to people. And it works really well.
Okay, I'm going to definitely take you up on that because there's a mastermind I do once a week
Hmm.
that I bring in people from all over because I'm one voice. We're all one voice here. And this I learned from other people around the country. And so I want my people to know my people. I just happen to know a lot of people because I happen to be here a long time, right? So I'm bringing in different people. And what happens is they're like, will you come talk to my group? Absolutely. I'd love for you to talk to mine. So yes, I'm going to send you a note separately and I want to have you in because that'll be awesome.
Yeah, I had an agent actually join my organization, and he's like only ever sold 2 houses in 2 years. And I said, "What are you doing?" And he's like, "Oh, I'm doing all these open houses. I'm door knocking, all the things." And I said, "Well, how do you do your open houses?" And he told me, I said, "Here, try this strategy, follow this roadmap." And then he did it in his first year here. He did 10 million and became an iCON agent. And it's in every year since he's been an iCON agent. So it's super super simple. People
Awesome.
overcomplicate it. What where do you see your organization going in the next 12 to 24 months in your real estate business? I mean, obviously it's a big question, but I just want to paint a picture for the people listening.
Yeah, the sky's the limit. I think opportunity is now. People are making moves, and I think people with the market, it's making it challenging, but we're still doing really amazing things. And I think that's a great time for people to plug into what we're doing. All the training, fast cap, all the things that we have, nobody can touch it. Some of the brand new agents that are averaging 3.9 closed transactions in 6 weeks. Are you kidding me in this market? Like we're doing things different. So for me, as far as my business, I'm not stepping back. I'm always going to be in business. I speak just like you. Like we're pulled in a lot of different directions, speaking around the country and ahas and things like that, which I'm actually enjoying doing. I didn't think I would, but I'm enjoying doing that. And so my production is still the same. It's like I'm 100% referral. And so now it's mostly agent to agent referrals, which is amazing because of
Hmm.
this company. And so we'll keep continuing to nurture and work on our clients and do all those things. But I'm expanding more of the speaking things. And then my organization, I'm helping my builders build and I'm helping others. I mean, just like my guy in California. I get an opportunity to put people in other people's organizations because again, if they're winning, we all win. And this person who just got a $1,600 check out of nowhere, he's like, "You just changed my life." I was like, "I didn't change your life. You did by making the decision to be at this company, right?" So my goal is to do more of that.
Um,
My goal is to just connect people. I'm a connector, and I just want people to understand. Yes, the production piece is incredible, but only 14% of our company really focuses on the rev share side.
yep.
And everybody knows great agents. And if people are coming to the company to build their business, then there's an opportunity for them to grow and build as well.
What type of agent thrives in your guys' environment?
I've got every kind of agent. I've got a ton of icons. I've got a ton of cappers. Some people don't want to be icons. It's so interesting to me where they're like, I don't want to be an icon agent. Okay, cool. Don't be an icon agent, right?
Yep.
Um, the newer agents, I mean, if people plug in, I've got some that are no nonsense. They're like, tell me what to do, tell me where to be, and I'll be there. When they're doing that and doing the work, then they're all thriving. It's the ones that sit back and just want the phone to ring. And I've had agents tell me that. They're like, you don't have to work your business. You just sit back and the phone rings. I'm like, are you kidding me? I'm working my business every single day. Maybe not like you are. I write handwritten notes every single day.
Mm,
Like I talk to people going through Facebook. If you're going through Facebook, find 5 people that you can write a handwritten note to,
yep.
right? During graduation, I was watching Facebook where people hadn't really been talked to, but their kids were graduating. I had a stack of um, Dr. Seuss of the places you can go graduation cards and a stack of Amazon gift cards. And every time I'd see one, I'd write a handwritten note to that kid. Congratulations. I know I don't know you, but I know your mom. I know your dad. Build those relationships. Those are the people that thrive in our org. I mean, entrepreneurs thrive in our org. The people that just want to sit back and have a job, they really don't.
Yep. Exactly. What's the best way agents can get a hold of you?
Uh, Instagram is probably easiest. I'm not huge on social media, but I'm trying to embrace it a little bit more, even though my kids say I'm such a nerd. Kids can be so brutal, right? So Instagram, it's Elizabeth Riley. I check that probably most. My website, they can find me on luxpg.com, but I would probably say Instagram.
All right, awesome. Yeah, the whole lawsuit thing, going back to that really quick, I did a bunch of research into that. So basically what it comes down to is an agent just needs to get permission from their buyer to provide feedback to the seller and the listing agent. And long story short, a buyer's agent provided feedback to a listing agent that
And
then
they thought it messed up the negotiations,
yeah,
right?
because they came back, the agent didn't think that they were going to put an offer in on the house, and then they came back and did. And then the seller refused to do any repairs based on the initial feedback. But at the end of the day, like I even go back to that, I think it's ridiculous that the buyer was able to sue the buyer's agent and win. At the
Yeah,
end of the day, everything's a negotiation.
right.
Do I think a seller, yeah, anyways, I have my own opinion. I won't get into that, but
No, but we're in a very litigious business.
mhm,
I mean, there's some crazy stories I've heard. I'm like, wait, how is that even possible? But yeah, so that's why it's like CYA and everything you do. And I put everything in writing. I'm like just trying to be as open and transparent and like everybody's trying to get to the closing table and let's just do it in a professional manner again, because my reputation is important and I want to be seen as an agent that is honest, ethical, fair. And I'm not interested in getting sued.
exactly. I know I love the saying, like people say the brand is what people feel when they see your brand, right? And so
Yeah,
you were talking
true.
about, I want people to feel this way when they see that I have a listing, I'm the same way. And I noticed that the top, like the great agents are in that same boat. And I think it's a great, like the culture that you've built, the teams that you've built. and just hearing the conversation today, I think gives a little bit of an insight into like your guys' organization and your teams and all those things. So just say thank you for coming on today. I really appreciate the time and the
I love it. I love getting
conversation.
to visit with you, and I appreciate you having me on here. And like I said, in any situation, just I mean, how do we each show up in our best light, right? Like
Hmm.
I know when I feel seen, valued, and heard, like I'm going to show up in my best light, and I'm going to put my all into everything. And so if we can make each one of our agents feel that way, and we can create that community and that culture, and that's what we try to do here locally, here across the globe, then I mean, nobody wants to go anywhere. Then it's a family environment. And I know that's so cliche, but I love that you and I got to have this conversation. It's super fun to get to dive deeper with our partners from around the globe. And so thank you for your time.
Yeah, I saw saying that speaking on the globe, I saw on your Facebook that you went to eXp Con in Barcelona.
Yeah.
And it looked like you took your family on a vacation on the way there.
Oh, that was a lot of family time. I did. I did. I spoke at eXp Portugal last year. And so I had my family at the very front end. And then we're like, oh, we'll do a trip afterwards. And this time eXp Barcelona was at the end. And I was on a organization, like a panel for rev share and growth organizations and things. And I think the international opportunity is massive. And they're
It's insane.
so excited, and commercial too. That's another one. But I did, but this time it was on the tail end. And so I love my family, but 16 days in Europe in small quarters at that point at Barcelona, I was like, y'all go explore Barcelona. I'm busy with my conference. I don't want to see y'all for 3 days. So it was fun, but I love the opportunities that I can bring my kids along to with this company for sure.
Oh yeah, exactly. I actually did another call with someone and she said she only sold real estate to fund her entire family's annual vacation. And this year they just did 3 weeks in Italy. And she took everyone, grandkids, kids,
Yeah.
everyone. I'm like, that's
She's
insane.
not wrong. She's not wrong. I mean, Die with Zero will tell you that too. It's like, why are we doing this and creating memories? Like, we don't do a lot of stuff. We don't buy a lot of material things and all that, but my kids can tell you like details of every trips we've gone on, and it's all about memories for me. And so I don't fault her one bit. I'd be doing the same thing.
Yeah, I love in that book that they talk about, by the time like the wealthiest generation is like the second wealthiest generation is the retired age folks, and then the richest generation is, the 70 plus. And
Yeah.
it's like you actually build more wealth when you get older, but then you have no health to,
Yep.
and then typically your kids have their own life and their own money and they don't need the money. So a lot of people are, like you said, like that's the whole premise is they give it all away, spend it, enjoy the memories when you still have health and can move
Yeah.
and all the things. So it's super
It's a good book.
exciting.
So any of your listeners need to go get that book by Bill Perkins for sure.
Yeah, it's an interesting story. So thanks again for coming out today, and I will definitely come to your guys' call. I'd love to help you guys on the open house strategy, and then people listening, like go check out the AHA Club in Austin, Texas, second Wednesday, 11 to 1 at the association, second Wednesday of every month.
Yep. Starting in September, we'll kick it off again. I think we're going to do luxury and commercial in September. So,
Oh, that's
and just
awesome.
find me, and I can always plug you into any events
Okay,
or anything we're doing locally. People can find me too.
awesome. Thanks.
Jesse, thank you, my friend.